Hello, welcome back to Shake Podcast. You're watching Story with Shake, and I'm here with my dear friend Thomas, who is pursuing his film career and who is actively participating every kind of creative ways. And we will sit with Thomas and discuss about how difficult it is to be creative in this world, and we'll explore about his story and the inspiration, so and so. Let's start with Thomas. Thomas, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Thomas. I'm a film major, and like Shake said, I'm just a very creative person, very artistic. So should I like give my background and how I got started and like being creative and just majoring in film?
One question I would really ask. I'm curious how you got into this field. How did you choose this field?
So it's not like the clearest story. So basically, it was COVID, and I was just sitting at home and I was just thinking about like health and stuff. I've always been like a health conscious person since I was around 15 years old. And I was thinking about making this story, this book for like little kids, telling them about healthy choices. And then I was like, okay, maybe I should make this a video. And then I decided to start making YouTube videos. And then I I was doing like YouTube videos about like drawing and art stuff. I'm not really in art, but I just thought like this would be something easy to do because I had no experience with editing and like making videos. So I did that for a while, and then I just I did a basically I started doing YouTube videos, and I just really fell in love with editing and creating those stories and just being able to share that with other people. Even though I didn't get a lot of views, but it was just fun to be able to sit back and watch things that I created, and just that's how I fell in love with this. And then I decided going to college, I was like, okay, maybe I should major in film or videography, just something that allows me to keep being able to tell these stories and keep allowing myself to edit and just keep allowing myself to even just write stories. So everything that I really do in the film industry, I really focus on uh the storytelling aspects of it. I really like telling those stories, and I really focus on being able to just be able to express how somebody's feeling or be able to express some message through cinematography, through editing, through writing. I just really like to be able to tell stories and just be able to create things that people watch and find joy in.
I like that because one of my purpose in life is to share stories and find out the stories which can inspire, you know, others. And I try to seek different stories from different people, different culture, because I think it's all about stories. Every movie, every book has to deal with story. The better the story you have, the longer it will keep on, and the more the people will like it. One of the thing I'm really fascinated is that where do you get your source of inspiration? How do you get how you get motivated? I'm not sure is it a correct word, but how do you feel inspired and to go about your life pursuing this? Do you watch movies? Do you watch your friends work and get inspiration, or is there someone in your life, a mentor perhaps, who is inspiring you to pursue? How do you keep up with your inspiration though?
For me, my inspiration it comes just from not watching other people's like stories. It's about like just doing it. I feel like with being creative, you just really get to put yourself out there in those things that you want to do. So you just really just go for it. At least for me, I like going and out and doing those things. I don't want to just sit there and watch what other people do. So it just allows me to be free because I'm a very like restricted person on the things I allow myself to do, but that's the one place where I can just, not think something over so much and I can just go with the flow and just not even think it, just do it. So I would say that's where I get my inspiration from is that it allows me to be free and it allows me to be happy and it just allows me to just go out and explore. So I think that's where my inspiration comes. Is just I really like being able to get my hands dirty basically in whatever I'm doing. So that's where how I get inspired is just by being able to do that creative work.
there's a famous philosophical quote I really believe, but it's very hard to follow. I would say, let your work speak on behalf of you rather than doing other way around. So what it means to say is that just show your work, just show your work to people, show your work to teachers, show your work to your friends, and let your work to speak on behalf of you, and be a really good artist in that. And if you have the quality of work you want to produce, and if you deliver it, you don't have to speak, you don't have to look for opportunities, you don't have to look for reference or networking. All you have to do is just sit and make a quality work, and therefore you will get all the opportunities you were looking for. So having said that, what I really want to understand is that when you are doing some creative work, do you often think about people opinion, or do you go with your gut feeling? Like, is it something that you want a, I don't want to say validation, but do you look for validation of others to get approve of your work, or are you a kind of person who just make whatever you think or whatever you believe in?
I would say it depends because, like I said, when I was doing YouTube, I made over 300 videos that I like published, and I made probably 500 videos that were meant for YouTube that nobody really saw. I didn't really get a lot of views, and I still did it for like basically 2 years before I eventually gave up. And I would say I didn't really like care if people was watching it. I just sort of did it just to do it, and I was hoping that maybe if somebody did watch it, because I made like motivational videos for a little bit, so I would like give like one of those was like quotes. I would like have these motivational quotes from celebrities, and like so like quotes from like Steve Harvey or something, and hopefully that would inspire somebody. But I would say that thinking about YouTube, I really didn't really look for validation. But when I got here to Webster, and like at least my first semester, in some of my classes, I would really try to, do the work a way that would, where I was really hoping that somebody would say, oh, this is good. And I was doing it for other people and I wasn't doing it for myself. And this semester in the classes that I'm taking, I really haven't really focused on how other people are going to think about my work. I'm just telling stories that I want to tell in like my script writing classes. So a couple weeks ago I had to write you had to write like a comic book scene. And I didn't know if my classmates was gonna like it. So every class we read them in class, all the scripts. And I didn't know if they were gonna like it or not. And I didn't get a lot of feedback from people, but I really enjoyed writing the story. And I felt like it had potential. And I feel like sometimes I don't know. I feel like people they might not give you the response that you want. So I don't make my work for other people. In that sense, I think I make my work more for the masses more than like small groups of people because you understand that, especially when you're around like just people of the same background as you, that sometimes they might not give you the response that you want. So like here at Webster, you're around college students and people still figuring themselves out. And I just seen the way that how some people feel about certain things and I don't make those things, then it might not get the best response. So I have another example. I really like this play that me and Shake was talking about a couple minutes ago, and my one of my classes we read it like in class last semester, and everybody loved it. But I shared the same thing with one of my film classes, and nobody really liked it. But it was performed the next day after we had read it in class, and everybody loved it in the audience. There was people just laughing, and just it was a really good experience. But if I would have just been like, okay, I care what they think, then I wouldn't have really been able to see the potential in it. So I feel like it depends on the audience. And I feel like going forward, I don't want to have people validate how I feel about my projects. I just want to make them. And if people they might not like them in like smaller groups, but you still have to just believe in that project and believe if you think it's good enough that there will be people who like it. And sometimes you just have to realize like maybe if you just around people who have the same mindsets and the same ideas and the same values that they might not like it. So sort of I just say you have to take how everybody feels about your work with a grain of salt basically.
There are many things that I would like to address here. Firstly, I would say the like minded people, which you have mentioned. If we are surrounded with the people who are struggling the thing which we are struggling, if we are surrounded ourselves with creative or innovators, perhaps they may understand what we are going through. And uh, and it will boost you up, it will inspire you, and it will give you positive feedback, and they can understand what you are going through, because since they will be they will be putting their efforts into something creative work. So like-minded people, having surrounded yourself, it's called tribe, and which is hard to find again. The second thing I would say, I'm uh, not in against of any social media. Perhaps I feel like sometimes social media is kind of intimidating with numbers, likes, feedbacks, and sometimes if you're not getting likes, you may feel stress. Oh my god, what happened? Am I producing bad work? Or you will get confused, you will be conflicted, and you'll start doubting yourself. And lastly, there was a teacher, I would like to say a story. There was a teacher, and he went to a classroom and he gave a paper and pen to every student, and he asked them to write a letter to a municipal government, local government, for cleaning or so and so. He put a topic and said everybody to write a letter, and everybody was terrible to write letter. I think this was the fifth or sixth standard, I'm not sure. Everybody was terrible. So what he did, he didn't give any feedback. He didn't say anything to any children. He took all these papers and he came back again next day and again next day. He kept on repeating the same pattern about 15 to 20 days, and he himself can see the difference between the day 1 and day 15. Not only the children were able to write better, but the letters were insightful, encouraging, and I would say like spot on. So it is, what I'm trying to say is that sometime our first effort, or day 1 or day 3, day 5, day 10, can be terrible. But if we are showing up consistently over day 30, day 50, day 100, would be much more better and much more advanced than the day 1. You will learn through those things. I understand that it is difficult, but I think this is what being creative means. The creative doesn't mean always coming up with good ideas. Creative doesn't mean sometimes you have terrible ideas. Sometimes the ideas doesn't work. Even the film industry fails. Sometimes the directors fails. It doesn't mean that you quit once, once you put your efforts. It means that showing up, being energized, and it is all about your consistency. Sometimes I believe. What do you say about showing up every day, even you if you don't have any even if you have any good ideas, doing your work even if your work is bad. It is difficult, but how do you approach these things though?
Oh wow, that's a tough question for me. Because like I was telling Shake a couple of minutes ago before we started filming, that I'm a perfectionist. And a couple months ago, me and one of my friends from high school, we made a short film, and it was a mess. It was absolutely, it was just, we were very chaotic. So the first thing that went wrong was I had bought my like camera, because I just needed a camera outside of school that I can use and not have to worry about coming all the way up here and bringing it all the way back home. And just, it was just easier logistically speaking for the situation that I'm in. So I really wasn't that used to it. I think I only had it for like a week or a week and a half at that point. So I really wasn't like used to using. I'm still not the, used to using like actual film cameras. I'm better, but there's just certain things I just didn't do right. Like people weren't in focus at certain points, and my lens, the lens that I bought, it's not really good at like close up, so it's really good for like far away shots. And we were trying to do a lot of tight shots, so just things like that. So that was one of the things that I did wrong on the project. And then my friend who wanted to be the main star, his name is Henry. So Henry wanted to be the main star of the film, and he has no experience with acting, and he isn't willing to like really even like try at all. Like I'm not saying you gotta be an Oscar worthy actor, but just putting a little bit more effort. And like I gave him the script the week before, he didn't read it at all really. So he just like read it once and really didn't read it. He didn't really try to understand the character. And it was just a mess. And I was sitting there looking back at the footage when I was trying to edit it, and I was like, this ain't worth my time. So I just deleted the whole project. So like 2.5 weeks worth of work just gone went to waste. So I would definitely say for me, it's definitely hard to do bad work. Because I've just been in a lot of situations where I've been around people, especially when I've been working on short films, with a lot of people who say, "Oh, well, they care and they want to do it," but when it's time to actually do the work, they're not willing to put in the work. And I also say that for myself, but at least for me, like I understand where where my effort was at. Like I wrote a script, in like 3 days, and I was working on bringing like props, and you should have saw I was carrying like 4 bags that day of just stuff that we needed. So I put in a lot of effort, and I feel like I stretched myself thin. So I give myself that grace on that. But I would just say it's hard for me to work on projects that I'm not invested in because I don't know. I just feel like it's a waste of time to work on something that's not going to really turn out the way you want it to be. So that's something I'm hoping to work on in the future where I'm not giving up on a project. But I'm hoping I'm not working on any projects that's that bad where you can't salvage the acting, where he's looking directly at the camera, or if you just have him like tell him how he needs to do something and he's just, putting in the least amount of effort. So I would say you should probably work with people who, well, as a creative person, you just need to work with people you can trust. So I feel like I wasn't working with people who I can trust and I was able to rely on, and I was just doing too many things. So I feel like I was stretching myself too thin. So I would definitely say, when it comes to you said doing things like on a consistent basis, even if they don't work out, you really just need to lean on other people. You need to be open and be honest and be willing to say if you're struggling, just be open and bringing people you can trust. So I would definitely say, at least for films and just really being creative, you have to be working with people you can trust, and you have to be open, and you have to just be vulnerable. So I would definitely say that's something that I'm hoping to work on in the future. Yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say for that.
Thank you so much, though. But I would like to ask. I just want to quickly shift the gear to some other thing. What is your top priorities right now? Like, what are the project or what are the skill that you want to build or you're working right now? And is are there any priorities that you are completely giving your energy and time and being focused in that?
So currently I'm working on my editing skills, mainly on the sound editing part of editing. So like right now on my laptop, I have this like Premiere Pro timeline that's just like so many tracks, and I'm just really trying to like get better at sound design. And outside of like, the computer, I'm trying to work on, like I was telling you about, getting better at using my camera, getting things more in focus. So I'm trying to really understand how to use cinema cameras. So I'm doing a lot of different things now. And like upcoming projects I'm working on, I want to work on uh a documentary. I want to work on documentary. Even before that, I
We have
was thinking
shared
of
this
working.
thing that I want to work on some kind of documentary which should be like black and white. I'm not sure why I'm fond of black and white. Maybe perhaps I saw some movies and I hooked on me. I really want to pick a subject or a story, and we can just start doing our work, and doesn't regardless of the outcome. This is something which I am struggling and everybody struggle. We have to fixate on our outcome. We want people to like our work, but sometimes it doesn't go accordingly. Sometimes people won't like it, but it feels something. It feels like satisfaction that at least you put your work out, at least you did your job regardless of your outcome. So I really want to collaborate with you, and maybe I'll bring some other students and my friends on the team, and maybe we can work on something brilliant, something which can inspire others. And usually I'm looking for story which can inspire, a story which can lift people up. So I'm really counting on you that.
Yeah, I still got
And
a couple more projects.
mhm.
So I want to work on. I saw this video where this one person in New York, they like took their camera and they just filmed the city, and I basically want to film the summer in St. Louis. So I'm hoping to basically like film like popular areas in St. Louis, like the Arch and just parks and places like that. And I just want to really see how it looks throughout summer. So I'm hoping to start in mid June when summer starts and go to like the last day of summer. So I want to film St. Louis. And also, I want to do like more cooking videos. I want to do like ASMR style cooking videos. So there's a lot of different things I'm hoping to do in the next couple of months. But I just, need to practice and just get better at using the equipment and just getting better at my skills so I can be able to make those projects.
uh, I know you will not take any suggestion or opinion from me, but I would say that keep your priorities as low as possible and keep your expectation almost zero. Uh, which I'm,
Yeah,
in
I'm just
other
doing
words,
these projects for fun. I'm not
mm,
really like doing it like hoping people will watch it. I'm just
mhm.
trying to, just gain experience and just get better at my skills. So I'm not really worrying about how other people will feel about these projects. These are just like personal projects for fun.
I mean, I'm glad to hear that because I feel I struggle with making a choice, and that comes into priorities. So I'm very much deliberate nowadays in terms of what priorities I should have. And there's a summer break which coming up, and I would really want to utilize that break. But before that, I want to make a strong decision that is this the something which I want to spend my time and energy, or because we end up doing nothing. Sometimes we get so many choices nowadays. So one thing we are struggling to make is that the good decisions. What, like, this is the choice we have. Do I have to go with this or that? Do I have to chase for this thing? And yeah, I'm just keeping my priorities maximum 2 to 3, which is, if I'm being honest, I want to focus on my studies, academics first, and I want to focus on my podcast. This is that would be a second. And I want to look for, I'm learning, like, I don't want to say I'm looking for internship and other thing, but I would like to learn more about business, case studies, entrepreneurship. So these are the top priorities which I have right now. I do have many choices to do, spend my time and energy. But today I was sitting in, coffee shop, and I was just writing these are the top priorities. Regardless what happens or whatever the circumstances in my life, I'll continue to do these things at least for a year or 6 months. So thank you so much. And before leaving the podcast, I would say you have been friend with me like 3 4 months, right?
No, it's been since September.
Yeah, September. We met in September,
Yeah.
and
You don't remember how
uh,
long we've been friends? Yeah. He's like, forget about you.
we introduced each other in September, but we really became friend in like January or February, I would say. And we have been seeing each other like almost every week nowadays. And we go outside, we have dinner with Ryan, and it is such a nice spending time with you. I always like, we are in touch. We are always constantly messaging. And I hope we'll go to YMCA someday. I'll either come to your YMCA or you come to mine. We'll have a lot of fun, and let's see if we can make a team. Let's see if we can bring more students. That's my purpose over here. uh, what do you say about our friendship though?
I would say being friends with Shake has been a really positive thing because, just like I said, I still think about high school a lot because I just graduated not even a year ago. And I was around a lot of people who were not really good friends. Like, they would say, like, oh, well, we're friends. But then when you, like, let's go somewhere, let's, like, have a conversation, you couldn't do any of that. So with Shake, it's just really nice being with somebody who's just really open and who's really, like, adventurous and just out there. And Shake makes me a better person. And I'm just glad to be friends with him.
I'm glad you think about all those things to me. Thank you so much for those compliment, and I hope everybody does better. I'm just here, trying my best. Even I'm not doing my best in farming. I'm striving to get better, and you are certainly doing wonderful. And you have some projects going on. Again, it is all about stories, and this is our very normal stories which we have just shared. And I hope we will catch you up soon. Thank you so much for sitting with us and watching our podcast, and thanks so much for being on my podcast, Thomas.
Thank you for having me on your podcast.